Hi, all. So here's the thing. I'm going to do something a little different with this. Here's the thing. I'm going to talk about the Oscar nominations that are due to be announced February 8th. I've been following the Oscar race for as long as I can remember. I don't profess to have seen everything. I typically try to see everything, but COVID. These are based on precursors. And what I looked at was the Golden Globes, which is the only um, award that has been presented at this point, the Critics' Choice, the SAG nominations, the PGA, DGA, and WGA, which is the Producers Guild, the Directors Guild, and the Writers Guild. And so I kind of took a look at all of those to come up with this list. So for Best Picture, I think there are 8 films that are pretty safe bets for nominations. I think they're Belfast, Coda, which is one of my favorite films of the year, Don't Look Up, Dune, King Richard, Licorice Pizza, which I think is going to do better than some people think is going to do. The Power of the Dog, which I think is going to do worse than a lot of people think. And one of my personal favorites, West Side Story. I think those 8 films are kind of in. I think the big surprise here, typically there are 8 to 10 nominees, so there's the top 8. Then the last 2 slots, if they are, I think one goes to Tick Tick Boom, and that leaves one slot open if there are 10 nominees. And I think for me, it comes down to 2 films, House of Gucci, which I haven't seen, and Being the Ricardos. And I think it goes to Being the Ricardos. I think there's more um, love for Being the Ricardos. It's a film about Hollywood, and Hollywood loves that. So I think Being the Ricardos, it becomes the nominee. So it's Belfast, Coda, Don't Look Up, Dune, King Richard, Licorice Pizza, Power of the Dog, West Side Story, Tick Tick Boom, and Being the Ricardos. For director, I think we get Jane Campion coming back in fine form for The Power of the Dog. Not my favorite film, but I think she's guaranteed a nomination. Kenneth Branagh for Belfast, Steven Spielberg for West Side Story, Dennis Villeneuve for Dune, and then that leaves one slot left. Common wisdom would say that it's Paul Thomas Anderson because he got the DGA, but I think there's going to be a surprise. There's typically an international filmmaker in the director list when the Oscar nominations are announced. So I think the big surprise here is going to be Hamaguchi for Drive My Car. It's probably going to be Paul Thomas Anderson, but I'm going to go out on the limb and say Hamaguchi. For actress, I think there's 4 kind of givens based on the precursors. Nicole Kidman for Being the Ricardos, Jessica Chastain for The Eyes of Tammy Faye, Olivia Colman, who has become the new Meryl Streep, and she gets nominated for everything she does, for The Lost Daughter, uh, Lady Gaga for House of Gucci. I think then it comes down to um, uh, the last nomination. Conventional wisdom months ago would have been that it was Kristen Stewart for Spencer. She was on she was the front runner, and people thought she was going to win. She didn't get a SAG nomination, so if she gets an Oscar nomination, she's not going to win the Oscar. That's rare that somebody who didn't even get a nomination ends up winning the Oscar. So I think it comes down to Kristen Stewart, Rachel Zegler for West Side Story, and Alana Haim um, for Licorice Pizza. So I think those 2 young ladies, Rachel and Alana, it comes down to how popular their films are with the Academy. I'm going to guess that Rachel Zegler gets in on a West Side Story kind of run of categories. We'll see. For director, excuse me, for actor, I think there's 4 kind of givens. Andrew Garfield, who's having a great year. You know, The Eyes of Tammy Faye, where he played Jim Baker. Of course, the Spider-Man kind of multiverse, his Peter Parker and that. And then, of course, his incredible performance as Jonathan Larson in Tick Tick Boom. I think it's my favorite performance of the year. So he's guaranteed a nomination. Will Smith is guaranteed a nomination. Benedict Cumberbatch for The Power of the Dog. Denzel Washington for Macbeth. And then I think the last nomination goes to either Peter Dinklage for Cyrano, but he's kind of lost some steam. And so I think Javier Bardem getting the SAG nomination kind of clinches his nomination for the Oscar. For supporting actress, again, I think we have four kind of definites: Ariana DeBose, Katrina Balfe, Kirsten Dunst, and Ingenue Ellis. I think those four ladies have kind of all been in lockstep for a nomination. I think they're good. The last nomination comes down for me for Ruth Negga for Passing and Rita Moreno for West Side Story. Again, I think depending on how West Side Story does, I think Rita gets in for that as kind of a great full circle moment. I don't think she wins, but I think she potentially could get nominated. So if the film does well, Rita gets in. But honestly, I think it's probably going to be Ruth Negga. For supporting actor, I think this is the most interesting category and not as solid or easy to predict. I think Cody Smith McPhee for Power of the Dog and Troy Kotsur for Coda are givens. I don't think anybody else is a given. There's the two young men from Belfast that I don't think are going to get in. I think they're going to go for some star power. So I think Ben Affleck gets his first nomination for acting for the George Clooney film, The Tender Bar. I think Jared Leto is becoming the male Meryl Streep. He got nominated last year for a movie that no one liked or saw. So I think he gets nominated for Gucci. And I think the big shock here is Bradley Cooper for Licorice Pizza. I think he's also becoming kind of a Glenn Close actor, meaning he gets nominated, and I don't think he wins. He hasn't won yet, and this will be his fifth nomination, I think. For the screenplays, I'm taking a shot in the dark. Original screenplay, I think it's Being the Ricardos, Don't Look Up, King Richard, Licorice Pizza, and Belfast. For adapted screenplay, I think it's Coda, Dune, West Side Story, The Power of the Dog, and Tick, Tick, Boom. I think Tick, Tick, Boom is the big surprise there. So there we go. That's all I got for Oscar nominations. So we'll see how right I am. Who knows? Yeah, but Oscar nominations are February 8th. So there you go. Wear a fucking mask. Be kind to each other. Get a vaccine and just be nice. Okay? Peace out.